Hello, and welcome to the National Council on Family Relations special panel presentation on parenting resources during COVID-19. My name is Claire Kimberly, and I am the webinar coordinator for NCFR. We have a wonderful group of presenters that have provided us with information on how to find additional resources for yourself or resources that can be shared with other families. For that reason, you are welcome to watch the presentation in its entirety, or if better suited for you, you can skip the sections that are the most relevant to you. Let me first give you an overview of our presenters and their topics. Their entire bios will be shared at the beginning of their portion of the presentation. Ellie McCann shares specific resources that have been created for parents of teenagers during COVID-19. Dr. Lawrence Shelton will be providing an overview on co-parenting issues while being safe at home. And Dr. Shelley McDermott Wadsworth describes a family resiliency initiative aimed at supporting families during the pandemic. For our first presenter will be Ellie McCann. She earned her MS in Human Development and Family Studies from the University of Arkansas, Fayetteville. She has been a statewide extension educator with the University of Minnesota Extension Center for Family Development since 2003. Her areas of focus include divorce, education, co-parenting, families in times of transition, and resiliency.
Hello, and welcome to Parenting Teens during COVID-19. I'm Ellie McCann, Extension Educator with the University of Minnesota Extension Center for Family Development. You can find the resources I'm going to share with you on our Extension COVID-19 website and on our social media sites that are listed here on the screen. This video is the first piece my colleague Sharon Powell and I developed as a response to how to begin parenting during COVID-19. It's about 1.5 minutes long, and these are a couple of screenshots from the video. It lives on our Family Development YouTube page, and we've also shared it out on Facebook and Twitter. I was then interviewed for this article on Tune into Learning, Nature, and Family to Reduce COVID-19 Stress, which lives in our or is housed in our University of Minnesota Extension Source magazine. It includes ideas from horticulture, bee pollinators, forestry, 4-H, parenting, and an extension veterinarian. After we created these first two pieces, we started to receive requests for advice on parenting of teens during COVID-19. We tried to think innovatively and how things will be best received by parents. So first we tried a Zoom recording similar to this, and that didn't go too well. Then I saw a picture on Facebook with some text next to it, so I created my first in a series of weekly letters called Dear Parents of Teens. Sharon Powell and I created the content. Our social media expert, Jessica Barnes, created the post. And then it was posted to social media on April 4th. As you can see in this post, the letter content is longer in the caption, and then it is condensed to put with the picture next to it each week. To date, our greatest amount of engagement was this letter based on rituals and routines, which was posted on April 24th. It's been shared about 18 times and has reached approximately 2,000 viewers on Facebook. The first two of these letters have been translated into Spanish to be posted on our Spanish social media sites. Other topics that we have written about are rules, positive statements and affirmations, responsive caregiving, and we will continue this weekly series for the unforeseeable future. Mid-April, I was interviewed by our Extension Rural Stress Task Force on an article on tips on social distancing for parents of rural and small town teens. As we know, there are a few differences. Parenting tends to be parenting, but there are a few differences when we think about geographic location. So that's really what this article entailed. All of this work has really led to many different connections, both statewide and beyond, to begin facilitating webinars. On May 12th, I will co-facilitate a webinar for our Minnesota 4-H families on supporting teens through this challenging time. ASHA contacted us, and their mission is to provide culturally specific programs to the South Asian community to foster health and harmony in their lives. On May 16th, I'll be co-facilitating the webinar, Parenting Can Be Stressful During Times of COVID-19. Also, in a new series of webinars between Montana State University Extension and the University of Minnesota Extension, I will be co-facilitating a webinar on parenting during COVID-19 in late May. The date on this last webinar is yet to be determined. I want to thank you for your time. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions about any of our resources. And thank you for this opportunity to share.
Our next presenter will be Dr. Lawrence G. Shelton. Dr. Shelton teaches a variety of courses in human development, family systems, parenting and developmental ecology, including a course on parenting through separation, divorce, and repartnering. Experienced in parent consultation and education, he is particularly valuable for this presentation and sharing his resources. He has also served as a family evaluator and expert witness for family court. Finally, Dr. Shelton was a creator of the parent education program required by judges in Vermont Family Court.
Co-parenting typically is a challenge under any circumstances. Raising children in two homes with another parent who is a former partner is a complicated and often frustrating task. The job is even more complicated by additional adults joining the binuclear family, new partners of the parents. Conflicts between co-parents are common. They occur over many different issues: child support, parenting schedules, parenting styles and philosophies, the influence of step-parents, and innumerable others. And conflicts are intensified by old resentments, poor communication, emotional immaturity, substance abuse, and more. The life of co-parents is complicated. Today, we have an unprecedented additional complication: the COVID-19 pandemic. The complications are created by the contagiousness and severity of the virus, lack of effective treatment, restrictions on social contact, stay-at-home guidelines required, the resulting need for many parents to work at home while caring for and educating children, loss of income, and the resulting anxiety and stress experienced by almost everyone. These change the conditions of the ecosystem people have been co-parenting in and are causing a major increase in conflict between co-parents. The commonly surfacing conflicts are focused on keeping children and others safe from the coronavirus and not following parenting schedules already in place. But, as is the way with co-parental disagreements, they mushroom rapidly into an infinite variety of blame, defense, jealousy, accusation, old grievances, threats, and attempts to control each other. An added level of complexity may be present if step-parents are involved, as they may be seen to be getting, and may actually have, more time with children than the biological parent does. Parental concerns arise because of travel constrictions, desire to limit children's exposure to people who might carry the virus, concern about parents' increased exposure because they are healthcare providers or otherwise in contact with the public, fear the other parent won't adhere to safety guidelines, possible exposure to unsanitary environments, and concern about increasing exposure for family members who are more vulnerable to severe disease because of age, compromised immune systems, or underlying health problems such as diabetes, asthma, or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. These are all real and legitimate parental concerns. People are more reactive, more protective, more aware of dangers. Anxiety makes communication more difficult, especially when both people are anxious. People are more likely to mishear, to speak with more negative tone, to misunderstand, to react emotionally, and to be less able to manage emotions and stay calm. All the old resentments, anger, and jealousies are likely to reappear and be strengthened. How do family professionals respond to the needs of parents experiencing this conflict? Normally, we would turn to the pertinent research. There is no research to turn to yet. There are, however, many case examples published in the media. Normally, we would look for well-researched and tested programs to deliver to parents. They may be in progress, but they're not available yet. So, how do family science professionals respond? What can we provide? Fortunately, and unfortunately, I suppose, co-parent conflict is precedented and well understood. Research and practice guidelines exist. There are materials we can draw on, a few of which are listed in the resources accompanying this presentation. While the virus and social distancing are new, parental conflict is not. Co-parenting conflicts result from unresolved issues from the marriage, new dissatisfactions arising from the court process, different parenting skills and philosophies, attempts to control, jealousy, disapproval of new adults brought into children's lives, and so forth. Disagreements about parenting schedules are common. Any change in a parent's situation may elicit conflict. Conflicts usually indicate that at least one parent has not yet developed all the skills needed for smooth interpersonal cooperation and collaboration. These skills are often the targets of attempts by family professionals to improve co-parenting situations. What we need to respond to is renewed conflict, greater conflict, and conflict occurring within a context of increased anxiety and stress. The situation is much more complex than we typically face because families' ecosystems are more complex. Their homes, routines, and relationships are disrupted. They are feeling anxious and insecure, and thus their communication is more difficult. Solutions to their conflicts are more difficult to imagine and to implement. Ideally, families have a flexible parenting plan in place. Safety can be maintained relatively easily. Parents communicate well and can be flexible in negotiation and compromise effectively. They access and use third-party professional help from mediators, counselors, and family therapists when necessary. Now, with these rare exemplary cases out of the way, what do we do for the rest? What's in our toolboxes? What's in our first aid kit for co-parents? And since we're all distancing, staying at home, what can we deliver from safe distance? We might divide our considerations into two categories. First, how might we respond to individual co-parents or families? And second, how might we provide information and support to co-parents in general? Our approaches might follow the same sequence in parallel. In both cases, we start with assessment. We can tap into the histories of the parties. Most co-parents will have been through a legal process, received materials on parenting through divorce, taken a court-mandated workshop or course, and developed a parenting agreement and schedule. They may have read books, watched videos, participated in mediation, counseling, or family therapy. They may be using a parent coordinator to manage their conflicts. What professional sources have they used, and what professionals are available to them now? With that information in hand, can we reactivate these resources? We might ask what parents have available. Can we remind the parents they have them and replace them if they don't? We have the opportunity to reinforce co-parenting guidance parents have received before, encourage them to review it, and add more to it, providing new information. Conflict between parents may be fueled by incomplete and differing understanding of the situation, the dangers involved, and how to mitigate them. Nothing parents have from the past is likely to include information on COVID-19 safety, accessing online help, work from home, and helping children in these circumstances. What can we add that will be helpful? There are many resources appearing in the media, including legal advice, psychological support, information on maintaining relationships, communication, and negotiation. So we can put these in our first aid kit. Examples and ideas from other parents are often useful to co-parents. Family professionals can educate parents about the nature of the new situation they are in. We may aim to help them understand it is not the other parent's fault. Blame the virus. Their world has changed in ways that make co-parenting more difficult to deal with. New risks require new strategies, and there may not be any clear or fair strategies. With information and better understanding of the situation in place, we can suggest ways to improve their situation, reduce the conflict, and reach agreement on necessary accommodations to keep everyone safe for the period of the pandemic. What resources are available to family professionals? The resource list accompanying the presentation includes some, and more are emerging regularly. This list is not comprehensive, and many family professionals will have others on their bookshelves or encounter them in the media. The resource list also includes books on divorce and co-parenting for general background, as well as a number of books addressing co-parenting conflict specifically. Conflict is often caused or exacerbated by lack of the skills that parents have not yet developed. So our toolboxes should include programs and resources on those skills that are not specific to co-parental conflict, but to the underlying conditions and skills needed. These would include self-care, mindfulness, stress management, developing empathy, developing communication and relationship skills, anger management, emotional intelligence, and finally, family professionals can help parents learn how to access parent education, personal skills development, and professional resources for figuring out an acceptable resolution to the disagreements. For these, we can review what we have in our toolboxes and share them. Looking back, we've considered co-parenting and co-parenting conflict, changes due to the coronavirus pandemic, new disruptions and sources of conflict in co-parenting families, opportunities for family professionals to assist with helping co-parents understand how their situations and challenges have changed, reminding co-parents of educational experiences and materials they have had in the past, helping co-parents improve their self-care, communication, interpersonal, and problem-solving skills, helping co-parents identify and access professional resources. I will end with a reminder for family professionals to review our toolboxes and first aid kits for appropriate resources. I would like to thank the authors of all the resources in the resource list and all the family professionals who shared suggestions with me for this presentation. Thank you for tuning in.
Our final presenter is Dr. Shelley M. McDermott Wadsworth. She is a professor in the Department of Human Development and Family Studies at Purdue University, where she directs the Center for Families as well as the Military Family Research Institute, which she co-founded. Her primary research interest is the relationship between work conditions and family life, with special focus on military families. Dr. McDermott Wadsworth is a fellow of the National Council on Family Relations and a recipient of the Work-Life Legacy Award from the Families and Work Institute. She has served on federal advisory committees for the National Academies of Science and the Department of Defense and has testified in Congress on multiple occasions regarding military and veteran families.
Thanks so much to NCFR for inviting me to participate. My name is Shelley McDermott Wadsworth, as you can see on the slide. I'm the director of the Center for Families and the Military Family Research Institute at Purdue University. And as you can see, I'm going to be speaking with you a little bit today about an initiative called Families Tackling Tough Times Together. This initiative is a multi-week engagement effort. It's led by faculty in the College of Health and Human Sciences here at Purdue to support families during the pandemic. I call it a pop-up program because it's being crowdsourced by volunteer scientists, extension educators, and students at Purdue, but also with partners all across the country, many of whom are NCFR members or well-known to NCFR. I can mention in particular Leanne Knobloch, Mallory Lucier-Greer, and Catherine O'Neill, Dan Perkins at Penn State, Abby Gewirtz at Minnesota, who I didn't list on this slide. Sorry about that, Abby. Tricia Lester at UCLA, Steve Koza at the Uniformed Services University, and others, of course, Barbara Feast at University of Illinois. We really are trying to take a very strengths-based approach. It seemed to us that the pandemic has created circumstances that are ideal for promoting family resilience. It's got many families locked up together at an anxious time. So kids are more motivated to hear from their parents than I think is sometimes the case. And parents, of course, very much want to help their children in this anxious time. And they're having to get all kinds of things done at home that they don't necessarily always do there. And this seemed like an ideal opportunity to try to be helpful to them. The target audiences for this initiative are parents with children, caregivers of children and others, youth, young adult siblings of children, older adult relatives, and helping professionals. We think the primary folks that we'll interact with are parents, primarily moms. That seems to be the case so far, but that, of course, could change. Our goals are to help both adults and children to learn about resilience, to grow their resilience skills, to practice resilience, and also to build communities of support. And we're focused here in particular on family resilience, which is, of course, related to but also distinct from resilience among individuals. We chose as our guiding framework from a Welsh's family resilience perspective. We did this in part because we were working really, really fast and we didn't have time to do lit reviews and so on to try to come up with a consolidated framework that drew on all of the most recent empirical research. This perspective is also appealing because it's very well regarded and widely cited. It is consistent with available evidence. It is strengths-based. A particularly appealing feature given current circumstances is that it's easily modularized. You may be aware that it includes 3 domains: shared beliefs, family organization, and communication. And each of those domains has 3 subcomponents. And so if you take those 9 things, it very naturally creates a 9-step sequence or 9-component program, if you will. And so we made a very quick decision to just be guided by that. And that's how we've organized the whole program. We're implementing this through a public Facebook group. There will eventually be a website. Each week on Saturday, we announce the resilience theme for the week. Each theme corresponds to a different element of Froma's framework. And then on Saturday, when we announce the theme, we release an interview with her talking about the theme and what it means. These are about 10 minutes long. And then each week, we also, on Sunday, release a kit that contains materials tailored for each of the key audiences for the initiative. During the week, we have special engagement activities to try to draw participation into the group to get conversation going among group members so that they can exchange messages of support and encouragement. For example, on Wellness Wednesdays, we release suggestions for self-care activities for everyone in the family. Celebration Saturdays are just a pat on the back for everyone for getting through another week. We prepare the materials to be very convenient for families. We release each kit as one consolidated PDF document, as well as separate PDFs for each target audience, so that whoever's participating in the Facebook group can easily share materials tailored to a specific audience or the whole kit for the week. We're very mindful that we may have families with 6 people sharing one computer, so they might want to print something off once each week and post it in their house, or they may not have a printer, so we want it accessible via their mobile device. We're trying to make it as easy for families as possible. The materials can be used at any time in any order. This is not a curriculum. It's not a course. There's no tests. There's no assignments. These are just ideas for things that families can do as they go about their daily lives that might help them learn about and practice resilience at the same time. We don't want to make extra work for families at this time. We want the materials to be very inclusive, so we're working hard to try to make sure that they speak to military families, civilian families, families living on farms, families with special needs members, and any other kind of family that we can think of. Everything is evidence informed, so every suggestion that we make, we try to tie it to some example of evidence suggesting why it is appropriate and important. And I've listed on this slide some of the content domains from which we have drawn inspiration. You can see here the goals for the initiative mapped to the specific activities that happen throughout each week. You'll notice here something about success stories. For success stories, we're very grateful to our good colleague Steve Wilson at the University of South Florida, who's conducting interviews with families who have been through tough times, and he's sharing lessons from those interviews with the group. And so we're making clips from the interviews that we can post each week to hopefully be inspirational to participants. This slide lists the content for each week. You can see that each week has a label, that's the theme, but then each ties to a theoretical domain in Froma's perspective. I'm not sure what we'll do after week 10. That's under discussion. But as I said, the materials will continue to be available, and they can be used in any order, reused whenever folks like. I'm sharing just one example of something that someone has posted to the group. This is maybe my favorite post so far, and this one got a lot of views. So this is a story by a mom who was out on a walk with her 4-year-old son in the woods, and her son got tired at the end and didn't want to walk anymore to get back to the car, but mom was already carrying the baby, and so she couldn't carry her son as well. They problem solved it together. This was, as you can see, posted in week 3, which was collaborative problem solving week. And the solution was that the son, this was his idea, he'd rest for a few moments and then he'd be ready to walk back to the car. I love this story because it's so easy to imagine the alternative. A crying child, an exasperated mother dragging her son back to the car. and a nice day tarnished by the conflict at the end. And instead, what we get is a happy, relaxed mom, a son who can celebrate solving a problem and feel proud of himself, and a little piece of history in their family of solving a problem together. This is exactly the kind of activity that we're trying to promote in group members, and to be supportive and encouraging and celebratory with parents who are able to do these things in the midst of everything else that they're trying to do. Been very gratified by the uptake so far. We had the idea on, I believe it was March 20th. We launched on April 15th. Today is May 5th. We just crossed 930 members in the group from 10 countries. 600 people were active in the past week in the group. So we feel that we're off to a good start, and we encourage everybody, if you think this is useful, please join yourself. Use whatever activities you want. If you work directly with families, feel free to share this with them. Feel free to use it in your work if you wish, to try to help them at this time, however is useful to you. If you do join the group, we'd be grateful if you would opt in to what we call Grytics. This is an analytics framework that we're using underneath to try to track traffic and just see what's happening, so we can see if this seems like a promising idea for the future. If you have any other questions, of course, please email me, and we're happy to share whatever we can. I thank you for your kind attention, and I thank NCFR again for the opportunity to share this information with you today.
NCFR would like to thank all of our presenters and taking the time to share this information with others. We would also like to thank those who have participated in this panel presentation. If you are looking for additional resources, we do have webinars that are now available to you for free, with many focused on working with families and students online. You can see a list on the screen now, including a webinar on how technology can impact families and how to integrate technology into family life education. To find these and other webinars, please go to ncfr.org. From there, click on Resources and then Webinars. NCFR has also collected and put together multiple resources about the novel coronavirus and how it impacts families. You will see on your screen now that website, which is updated pretty routinely. If you go to ncfr.org and click on See Updates at the top part of your screen, you'll be able to access this website, which will include additional information about NCFR particulars, such as our conference, and then also how we can help talk to children or help families cope with coronavirus during this time. We are always interested in what you feel could be a benefit to our community. Please do not hesitate in sending me an email with a webinar idea. Potential presenters are both. Our best programs have come from ideas shared by NCFR members. You can see my name and my email there on your screen. Finally, feel free to reach out to me directly with any feedback you have about this presentation. This information is extremely valuable to us and how we move forward with our webinars. Thank you for your participation, and a particular thank you to our presenters today. This officially concludes the panel presentation.